back. Hello, everybody out there. This is Doug the Efficient. I go by many names: Doug the Efficient, Doug the Foodie. Sometimes people just call me Doug, and every once in a while I get called Ronald as well. But you have stumbled onto, or found, or were directed to come to engagement and have a little listen, come for the conversation, and stick around for the fun. Welcome to engagement. So I get it all the time. People say, "So Doug, what is this engagement? What's it all about?" And you know what? It's ever evolving is probably the best way I could put it. This happened out of the pandemic when we're all locked down, and I had time on my hands to have a chit chat with people that were not with me, that were away, and we all spent more time, in the box talking to people, and I spent my fair share in front of a camera with a microphone talking to people. So I thought this would be maybe fun for others. And that's when engagement was sort of born out of a need for people to engage and to chit chat. And I have to be perfectly honest, it's evolving because I have many things that I am passionate about in life. Of course, my family, very important, my friends. I'm even passionate about my enemies, but I'm also passionate about things like conversation, food and beverages, as you know, and my community, and of course, as I like to say, sort of the love, the laughter, and the libations of life. So this is ever evolving, and I only feature people on here that are interesting to me. You can't pay your way on here. You can't beg to be on the show. We're not that big even, but it's about the integrity of who I'm talking to. The fact that I want to learn more about you, and I want people to learn about you as well. At the same time, I like to have a laugh. I like to have a giggle, and I like to explore. So that's where engagement is, and that's where it continues to evolve to, and it will continue to grow in that direction. I only have people on here that I really want to hear from or about or share the great things they've done. And that's where this new series for season 6, if you can believe it, season 6 has come to. Season 6, episode number 1, we're talking all about for 8 weeks about the good. And we have seen good in a lot of different ways in our communities around the world. And we've also seen the flip side. And we don't talk politics here because I'm not a politicker. I'm not a right wing, left wing. I'm not even sure which wing I belong to, but we don't talk politics, and it's a safe space. And it's safe because it needs to be a safe space for people to have conversation and to learn and to grow. And talking about giving is very important. And we've had some difficult times in our community. We've had some tough goes, but we have people in our communities all around the world that help, that give of themselves, of their time, of their money, of their energy, of their blood, sweat, and tears. And that's what I want to celebrate for 8 weeks. And there's a lot of that. And the very first person I reached out to was someone who I know pretty well enough to have a drink with and give a hug to. And he is definitely a giver in our community. And I'm talking about Brent Wilken. And he is definitely a doer, a shaker, a mover, and a Quaker. Not a Quaker as in religion, because we don't talk about religion here either. But he's a doer, and I wanted to talk to him so I could shed a little bit of my light through this medium on him and let you all know about him. So let's bring him in. Let's get talking to Brent. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm great, Doug. I'm great, Doug, and I'm honored after that introduction, why you select people and all that stuff. So
Well,
I'm doing even better. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. It's a Wednesday evening. We're back on episode 6, back in the chair talking to people. I have a little beverage beside me. I hope you have one too.
It hasn't made its way yet here,
Okay.
but
Well, I texted your other half, and I said, Brent could use a beverage. And for those who don't know, this is the third person. You've got water. Well, my magic, my secret superhero power is to turn wine into water. You could also call it urine. But that's my superhero. But you've got water, and I'd like to see you turn it into wine, because that would be a really cool thing. And if anyone could, you'd probably turn it into beer first, because you're able to do that. You're very talented in the beverage industry as well. That's part of your history.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about that. That's a whole nother episode, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you have been doing some great things in our community, and I wanted to share that. So you have graciously dialed in from an island. You are our third guest to dial in from an island to talk to me. So that's very, very cool. I've texted your other half to say, please bring a beverage to the cottage next door, and make sure it's a stiff one of some sort. So I'm sure that'll arrive any minute. So how you doing, my friend?
I'm waiting on that drink now. I'm
well, you know,
I was happy with water, but now I'm not.
Now I've got you thirsty, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
So my aunt, I come from a very large line of very matriarchal family. My nana, my mom, even my sisters. But I had an Aunt Trula. That's a very traditional Black name, by the way. It's my roots. And she always said this, and I always thought it was kind of hokey. And until about 10 minutes ago, I pulled this phrase off to use it for today. And this is what she would always say. Many hands make light work. And in community, that is very, very true. The more people that help out to do, the more it gets done. And we know there's an old rule that's an 80-20 rule, that 80% of the work gets done by 20% of the people. And you are more than 20% of the people, because you are in knee deep all the time doing stuff. And by stuff, I'm referring to the giving of our community. And this all started with, and I'll have you talk about it a little bit, but if I'm not wrong, it started with the miracle, which is the miracle that happened as a food drive in our community that actually became a little bit viral and sensation across other communities as well. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and that picture is actually from the June 27th miracle. It traveled over to Windsor, Essex, and inspired actually 25% of Canada now is done it population-wise. But I think, it was an amazing signal of what Chatham Kent can do, and it was a turning point in my life. And back in 2020, when we had just first learned of COVID, it was a couple months in, and the whole community believed in COVID at that time, and we're all scared, and people were out of their jobs and things like that for the first time, and we decided to run a food drive, and it was just as much about getting people involved and getting the entire community to come together. And somebody came up with the idea of just one can on your doorstep, that everybody in Chatham Kent just put one can on your doorstep. And it really resonated with me as such an inclusive way that anybody could participate in, that no matter what your situation was, you could put that one can on the doorstep. And then just it exploded. And I think we had over 5,000 volunteers, and I think we raised almost 700,000 pounds of food, which is over 100,000 pounds more than the world record for a food drive, and which is over $2 million worth of food. And but the beautiful thing that changed me was how people got out after. Is that with the whole community come together, that food belonged to all of us. So after the fact, so many more people got reached by that food, because someone like you, Doug, you were part of that food drive, and it belonged to you as much as anybody. It wasn't ran by any organization or any person. So if you knew somebody that was struggling, that wouldn't go to the food bank or whatever, or just lost their job or was too proud, you go get that food and you got them in their hands. So it was so many different ways that happened. And then so many things have happened since then that we're talking about today.
So this, the very first time it happened, pre-pandemic, was in May.
Yes.
And it was the concept of one can, which I'm not sure where you were when someone dropped that on your lap, but the whole idea of one can. I love this picture here. A great plug for Del Monte, which actually is a partially produced in our neck of the woods, a single can on your doorstep, right? So you see that a volunteer comes along, they pick it up. That can, along with other community cans, makes a mountain of cans that can feed a lot of people. And everyone has some sort of food economic diversity or deficit in their neighborhood, whether you know it or not. I know myself, I would in a previous life working in finances, I would go to clients' house and I would say to the older widows, do you have food in your cupboard? Do I need to check to make sure you have food in your cupboard? And I would look at it to make sure they had something in their cupboard, because if they didn't have it, sure as heck, I was going to the nearest store to buy them a bag full of whatever to make sure they had something in their cupboard. And to have you and the other leaders come together and make this happen was pretty phenomenal. So tell me how the original was executed, as that single can on a doorstep that would then end up in a community wagon or a community truck to a community arena, then to other community food banks. Tell us how that happens.
So it's pretty simple, and that's the beauty of it too, is each community manages its own community. So Shrewsbury managed Shrewsbury, Tilbury, Wallaceburg, Dresden, so on. So everybody did it a little bit different, but the basic concept stays the same. Is volunteers in that community, organized by the community captains in that community, go around with their families. They assign the streets. They pick up the can on the doorstep, bring it into their vehicle, and then they bring it into a site that they have. So like the Shrewsbury Hall, let's say. And then each of those communities, those people, anybody that steps up, it wasn't a selection process. It's just these people stepped up in this community and they're the ones distributing it. They're getting it. They know which food banks, they know what thing, and they're connected to you, Doug, who knows that one person, that one client, right? So everybody did it in a different way. Somebody had their own shops where people would come in and shop for it. Some people would do crazy outreach, go under bridges and the thing. So it got distributed in so many different ways. And that was the beauty of it. And then we're all connected, so we're all learning from each other. Dresden's learning what Shrewsbury's doing. Shrewsbury's learning what Tilbury's doing. And then the beautiful thing was, after we learn those things and after we get connected, we keep doing that. Connection doesn't stop after you've worked together.
It's awesome. I mean, it's very humbling. It's hard for people that are proud to say, I need food to feed my family. And there's an old dilemma, and I'm going to screw it up. I'll tell you right now. Something about, am I a thief if I steal a loaf of bread to feed my family? Right. Yeah. Because people are hungry and we don't realize the level of hunger people live with. And I heard a podcast recently with Viola Davis talking about her growing up in her large city. And you look at her, you think she's a an EGOT winner, that she would have never had problems with food. And she was hungry as a kid. They were hungry. They knew whose house to happen to be at during dinner time so they'd have food, or they knew that at lunchtime at school, who to talk to get a snack or a treat. And to live hungry is it's hard. I can't imagine. I mean, I was very fortunate. Yeah. Even in my household, I had a mom who would go hungry before I would go hungry because it was that important. And so you don't know who's hungry in your community, and have that food drive, a single can. And some gave more and some gave, what they could. Some gave one. It amounts to an awful lot, which is, I think, phenomenal. So to fast forward, some of the photographs that I've pulled off here that I want to share show some of the mountains of non-perishables, whether it's mustard or cereal or toilet paper, right? It's just unbelievable the amount of giving that people gave, and the community effort of people, sharing the fact that, that one can could do an awful lot. And, they would go out and they would get, all kinds of stuff. Even the Robbins kids got involved. This happened to me. Yes. I think this was taken by one of my neighbors, and we went out and we did what we could do to collect and give. porches look like this for the most part, with all kinds of stuff lined up on the front porch, waiting for volunteers to pick up, whether it's deodorant and shampoos or craft dinner. Right? It's phenomenal to see the outpour. So now we're talking 2022, and we're at the second round of the gift, which also has a great number of volunteers. This is a phenomenal shot of all but a few of them, of course. And tell me about the gift, which is going to happen on the 19th of this month. And if you want to volunteer, there's some details on volunteering and how to help out, and different ways you can help out in different sectors of work. So I'll shut up and you tell me all about the gift 2022.
Yeah. So like we talked about the miracle that's kind of grown into the gift, because the miracle is kind of a one-time, rare, unique situation. But every year we want to come together around the holidays. So it seems though we've really hit a mark, and that first year in COVID, it really worked. And it was this Chatham-Kent lightning struck twice, and we had broke the world record for a food drive. Then we broke the world record for a toy drive. We raised $3 million worth of stuff, but it wasn't about the numbers. There was never any goals. The beautiful thing that happened is more people got reached than ever, and so many more people get to volunteer than ever. And we just figured out a new system here in Chatham-Kent to let our people do its thing. And so the gift that's coming up, it's kind of in 3 stages. Between now and November 19th is we need to invite everybody and find out who wants to be a volunteer, who wants to be a captain. The more people that know about it, the more people that get to choose what their role is. And that's the beautiful thing about the gift, is you select your role. The committee doesn't select who's leading their areas. It's whoever steps up in Richtown. If it's 5 or if it's 10, they get together and they lead Richtown. And then the big day is November 19th at noon. Everybody in Chatham-Kent is invited to put a gift on their doorstep. So it can be as simple as that can that Doug showed you, or you can fill your thing with and do a shopping spree for a teenage boy. Whatever it is that you feel called to do, you put on your porch, and a community member will come around, pick it up, and make sure everybody has a holiday this holiday season. And then that's where the most beautiful part is whoever wants to be part of it after the 19th. And that's what I like about the gift specifically over the miracle, is we have till a deadline. We got till December 25th to find everybody. Like I said, Doug, anybody that's too proud, that just lost their job, whatever the case is, go get it, whatever it takes. And anybody listening right now, that collection that we collect belongs to you. So any way we can get it into that person's hands, get her done.
Well, it is pretty phenomenal. So you can, is it just a gift, or are people allowed to drop off or leave out on their step, food? Because people, not everyone's had to rely on a food hamper at Christmas time, right? It's a very proud thing to say, I need food for Christmas dinner. Of the trimmings, as they used to call it, to Bob Cratchit, the trimmings for Christmas. So is it just a toy, or are they allowed to leave a gift, canned good or food as well, or is it just gifts?
Actually, the food is what I would recommend most, Doug. Is so that's why they call it the gift, is because it's up to interpretation. Just like when you say on that, what you feel called to have on this conversation, it's what do you think someone else would appreciate this holiday season, right? So like for instance, in homeless, they really appreciate Pop Tops. And if you go around and you speak to the most struggling population, you're right, Doug, is the number one thing that they'll want for Christmas is food. But all the way up to, if you just think who's missing, is it a senior on your street, right? They would appreciate a Sudoku or a blanket, whatever the case. It's up for interpretation, and then whatever that thing is, your community and your neighborhood will get it into that person's hands. Does that make sense, Doug?
That's pretty phenomenal. That's a huge task. So if everything is picked up on the 19th and you do it all in one day, which that's monumental, right?
Yeah.
you got all of this goods
And it's
coming
like
in.
it's like in 2.5 hours, Doug. So we've
Yeah,
millions of dollars worth of stuff all across Chatham, Kent, and the doors are shut at 4 o'clock, kind of thing. It starts at noon.
that's
It's
crazy.
yeah,
That's crazy. And you go from an empty arena or building or barn or wherever you're putting it to overflowing barn or arena or whatever you're using. And it's pretty phenomenal. Then you have volunteers that have to go through and pick and separate and categorize everything as well. The volunteers you have must just be phenomenal just to be able to come out and help. And I would recommend too, if you have young kids that just don't get the concept of where this comes from, or don't get the concept of that there's actually people that would love to have that toy you're going to throw out or you're not playing with anymore, or the concept of people not necessarily having a full pantry at home. This is a great opportunity for them to come out and volunteer, so they can be part of the manpower, B, they can be part of the drive of what's going on, and they can affect change and understand what their own life and how fortunate they actually are, and I think be more compassionate, hopefully, at the end of the day, of others, because we don't always know where their story lies, right? There's that I'm a huge music nerd, and Alanis Morissette has a song that talks about you don't know that cab driver has a PhD, and that girl in class, her mom is dying. I mean, you don't know, because we all usually and we do share a lot on social media, but usually we park that before we go to work or go out in public or go to school. So I think it's a great opportunity for kids to get involved as well. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. That's one of the strongest aspects of it. Just like the one can in your doorstep is the easy entry, right? It's just a great way to get involved. And I don't know anybody, but let alone kids, that don't love walking along and seeing that present on the doorstep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that one's got to get, like, just even how you laugh there, Doug, you get kind of giddy thinking about it, right? Like, you're walking along, you get the food and you bring it back to the thing. Like, it's such a great way. And then the whole community's doing it. So then they see the signs, they see the hand painted signs, they talk to their friends about it. So they have a great 1 hour, 2 hour experience, but it keeps getting reinforced. And then I love what you said. I really encourage, then it could spark to after. So they only get involved that day, but then they can come after and help sort. You can get as close as you want to the source. You know what I'm saying, Doug?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. There's multiple layers of involvement for everyone, which is great. So when these gifts arrive, and they're sorted and all that, and all the different stations that you have, how do they get out? Like, I know that Brent, you're not driving these around in your pickup truck to every household. You're not. I know you have a beard, but it's not a white beard, and I've never seen you with a red
I'm no
tunic on.
Santa. Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you don't have some reindeers and some elves in the back. I mean, I don't judge, but nonetheless, I'm assuming that you have other people that help with all this. So tell me about that.
Well, actually, Doug, I get far too much credit for this stuff because I'm consistently involved, and I get stuck doing a lot of these interviews and stuff. But like, there is so many leaders involved. There is so many people championing this forward, and even so many young ones that have stepped up this year, to Dakota Hodson, to Greg Simpson, to Madison Hetherington. Like, there's so many people doing so, and especially on that front, on that getting into the people's hands. Like, I think of Sherry Carter from Rain and Shine. Like, she is relentless from November 19th till Christmas time, finding every organization, finding everybody that's missed. Last year, she went out on the 20th of December, and she was like, I'm going to find everybody that's missed. She'd already went to motels. She's already been under bridges. She was like, and she went in and found 30 people that didn't even hear of the gift or the Good Fellows or Salvation Army, and they all wanted food. So she got them their specific thing. So whoever in their captain in their area. So let's say you're in Tilbury, you work with those captains, work with their organizations. So there's organizations like Good Fellows, like Salvation Army, and a whole bunch of other ones that get gifts into people's hands, and then there's the different ways, the citizen ways. Like I said, Doug, so they hold share shops where people can come in that aren't as comfortable going through programs or with IDs, things like that, to people like individuals coming in to get it for others. So does that make sense on the different ways, Doug? So it's the different captains in the different areas that do the legwork, and anybody can step up to be that captain. Like
Exactly.
Doug in Chatham, you can step up this year, be a part of getting gifts into people's hands in the ways that aren't what's getting missed right now, kind of thing. And those to me are the ones that tickle me pink. And how many people are doing that? Like the groundwork on the level, finding people, and to do it in a more dignified way, in a more human to human. This stuff belongs to you. This isn't a handout to you, Doug. These presents belong to you. You selecting what presents you get. Me not determining for you what you get. You selecting what you get. Things like that nature are happening.
Exactly. I mean, it's come a long ways from that idea of one can on a doorstep, into a truck, into a warehouse, into food hampers, for it to evolve and the trajectory of it to become such a phenomenal thing and a world record breaking events is pretty phenomenal, and it happened here in our own community. So we know we have a very giving community and a very proactive community, and we want to keep that going. So the gift itself, I mean, you've got a lot of volunteers. You've got a committee that just makes signs, I think, don't you?
Yeah. Right now, there's probably 50, 100 signs made today at the community shop in the mall, but again, those are being made everywhere too. But there's literally like a full-time team every day that making those signs, and I really think that's an example of what Chatham-Kent can do. Chatham-Kent's grassroots. Chatham-Kent's get it done. Chatham-Kent's connected to the neighbor. Like, it's a special human thing that we have here. So there's a reason why we can do this, and I think that signs is a perfect example. So anybody can go into the community shop at the Sears receiving area, can paint a sign tomorrow. There's all the supplies there. Or you can donate supplies. You can bring old real estate signs. You can bring old paint you got lying around. You could bring old paint brushes. Or you can get a custom sign, Doug, for a business, right? Let's say you wanted to get the gift is about engagement, and you could have that sign put in your front yard. They could have that sign painted for you tomorrow.
Nice. Actually, I won't.
What sign do you want, Doug?
You already bragged it for me. Thank you very much. I won't. The very first year when you had the miracle, someone I won't mention who it is, but someone who shares the sarcasm that is me said to me, "Hey, you know what the miracle would really be? Is if these signs disappeared right after the miracle happened." And damn it, they did. The volunteers went out, and there was always going to be some stragglers, but they were gone, and it was awesome to see that the signs went up. We knew about it, we saw it, and then right after, probably faster than election signs, they were gone.
Yes.
So
well, that goes to show you what distributed ownership is, right? Like this everybody. I don't have any authority over anybody, right? Those people that put those signs out, they put it up for themselves.
Yeah.
They chose to put them up, so they own to bring them back down. It's not Brent giving the orders to bring them back down.
I have to say I think the concept of it and the management of it, which is so important, has been on point, and I think that it's been kudos to everyone involved in the management team, yourself included, of course. The fact that this has gone off so well and so seamlessly. So there's great opportunity for people to get involved. You can volunteer, you can help out with all kinds of different areas. I recommend, of course, you reach out. Is Facebook the best way to reach you, or is there a hotline? Do you have a red phone that people can call? Like, I want to call the red phone. If you've got one, I want the number. Like the bat phone. How do they help out? How do they get engaged?
Anybody can bring anything to the gift, Doug. So there is no phone at the moment, but I highly encourage you to bring the red phone to the gift. You'll be that'll be it totally needs it.
Yeah, it'd be like if it's ringing, it's probably Doug calling.
Yeah. But go to the gift and that's where you can select any of those roles. Like you said, you just click community captain. If you want to be a community captain, you want to be a part of marketing team, you want to be part of social media, you want to be a caller, or create your own and put it in there. So
Was
the
it the
gift,
gift?
ck.ca, the gift,
.ca.
ck.ca.
Right.
And then, yep, you got it right there. You can also reach out on Facebook or Instagram or anything else you see, and we'll get you on there, or even reach out to your community captains. That's one of the issues we keep having is people are so connected to their captains that some of them don't even register on the site anymore. It's like Mary Claire Latimer in Harwich, North Harwich. They got their own thing going on, so they're already all set, ready for the gift, and not a single one of them hasn't registered.
Well, they know what's going on out in Harwich, so that's all that matters, right? So that's phenomenal. Now, I mean, I think you've always been a community person. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak on your behalf, but have you always been very community sort of centric, like all your life? Is that something that your parents instilled in you, or something you've fired within, or what? Tell us how you always get involved.
Well, yeah, I think it's the combination of both of what my parents instilled in me and how I was raised in Erie, raised by a village, and my parents and community minded. But I think the bigger thing is, like, Doug, we had the same conversation when it was about beer, right? To me, that if you remember that conversation, we were standing on top of Bayside there.
Yeah.
To me, that was the same thing, and it's the same thing as when we were talking in when me and you were talking in the whiteboard room, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was, and that was about recreational cannabis drinks too, but it was about community. It was about trust, right? It was the reason I got into beer. I didn't actually. Little secret, Doug, is I actually don't like beer.
I knew it. I knew
it. Yeah. And I got into beer because beer is about community. Beer is about humans. It's about building trust. Yep. So even more than community, to me, it is that I like that word you said about fire within, is that we're all humans. Like, to me, that's, and what me and you have in common is that we don't like the politics. It's just human to human. Yep. Right? That we're all humans, and that to me is what these are actually about. And beer, the one thing I always like is like, it just couldn't work with kids. I just couldn't. There was some people that didn't like beer and couldn't work with kids. So the reason I'm in community work is so that I can really select whoever I want to work with. Is that everybody wants to work on community in some way. So now I can work with the people that are just about humans being humans, and that we're all equal. Is that's why I'm in community work, is because I can work with Doug, even if Doug's not in beer. There's something that we can work on in community, like this call.
Exactly. I said once to one of my biggest sort of adversaries in my life. I actually booked time with this person and drove out of town to meet with this person to say to them. It took me all of like 30 seconds to say, we are more alike than we are different. And that's a scary comment to make, because people don't want to be like others, especially if they don't like them, right? This person didn't like me, and I said to them, we're more alike than we are different. And I think that really sort of galvanized our relationship, because that's very, very true in the fact that for most people, we all, unless you know a different way to put your pants on, we're putting them on the same way. Unless you know a different way to drink water or wine or whatever you're drinking, we're probably doing the same thing or very similar. So let's embrace that, and let's celebrate it, or at least recognize the fact that we're similar. We're not that different. And then we all try to find a new mousetrap or a new way to do something, but you know what, the wheel's been invented, and it's not going to change. So it's always going to be round, FYI. So, but so you, sir, I know that you get a lot of the greatness heaped on you because of the work that you do. I want to bring this up. I'd be remiss if I didn't show this.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
That is a
Yeah.
phenomenal order to receive, phenomenal recognition to receive. I know that I wasn't there, but I would be willing to bet you a very fancy cocktail that you probably said, you know what, I'm accepting this on behalf of everyone else. It's not just me, it was everybody. Do I win a cocktail?
Yeah.
Yes.
I owe you one.
It's going to be an expensive one too.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
phenomenal. How was that? How was that moment? How was that day?
That was a very special moment for me for many reasons. For one, for that one, like you said, it really. I do believe that in my heart that was a accomplishment for all of us, and who nominated me there too. You see in that picture, Jennifer Wilson, somebody that I respect very dearly. She's one of those people that is heavily involved in these initiatives and seeing the big picture, and loves being involved and just being another human like the rest of us in it. And a lot of her insights. She's actually pretty hard on me, so that's so I was surprised that she's the one who brought that to me. And so it really meant a lot to me. And she called me specifically to tell me when she was the one that called me about it. And she's done a lot of community work over the years. And then just my impression of the Queen, at least in that department of service. So it was kind of that combination of who it came from in both ways. And then thanks, Abby. And that it just felt like a accumulation of the stuff that we've achieved, both and as an individual. It was a proud moment.
That's awesome. You deserve it. We, oddly enough, I mean, you and I both had our brush with royalty in some way, shape, or form, and that's makes us unique in the fact that it's not necessarily common for a lot of people. So, but you have done a lot of great work, and I applaud that. And I know that you don't do it alone, but sometimes you have that kernel of an idea, right? You know, whoever had the idea around the table or around, you know, the bar or wherever you were when they said, well, what if everyone put one can on their front porch, and we picked it all up and we gave that away. I mean, to take that idea and run with it takes an awful lot of courage. I was going to say kahunas, but but it takes a lot of courage, right? Because it takes you're giving of your time, your energy, your efforts, time away from your family, time away from your friends, time away maybe from your work. Your focus is it will be split because you're focusing on multiple things at once. It's a balancing act, really. It's a juggling act to be able to juggle, you know, initiatives and still work and have a life and have a family and all that. So it takes a lot of kahunas to do that. So you had the courage to be involved and continue to be involved from beginning to end, from idea to insemination. So it's definitely, you know, you definitely deserve it. And I know you're a shy guy and you don't want to take the credit for it, but you should own some of it because you were definitely involved. So good for you.
I own the kahunas part.
Well, I'd have to. That's a whole other text.
Yeah. That would be one of my roles, is like the spearheading the courage part, like of breaking down barriers, like of like, and and my family, Fanny will text you that I didn't balance anything for those 5 weeks. They didn't know me. I felt it was the top priority and the top thing to do. And that again was by insight from the people around me that were like, this is what our community needs. And I literally didn't do anything else for those 5 weeks. I put my business aside, everything, and I just literally 24/7. Every minute I was awake, which worked on it, and haven't stopped, and it just took over my life since.
Well, we're better for it. I'll tell you that, my friend. You've done some phenomenal work. Your volunteers have been phenomenal. To lead them into battle, basically, to do this and to collect and to work and to come back day after day to a mountain. And I'm talking a mountain of stuff, you know, those warehouses and arenas is phenomenal. So I know you don't do this alone. You have volunteers, you have other community groups you work with. Do you want to talk about those as well?
Yeah. Well, not only do I not do it alone, like the ideas part and the insights, like the biggest thinking is actually not done by me. Like I said, I'll own that kahunas part and the breaking down barriers and the kind of the system that involves everybody would be kind of my three main areas. Like James Rasmussen thought of that first, and Wes Thompson started it. Then James Rasmussen thought of the one can. Like it was kind of the evolving thing, and then they invited me to be involved, and then so there's we have formed a organization called Come Together CK that I'm the executive director of, that has a very strong board, and we participate in community-led, purpose-led things like the gift. So there are things that don't belong to Come Together CK, like the gift. The gift is brought to you by the community of Chatham-Kent. Come Together CK just supports it, like Doug supports it, the municipality supports it, United Way supports it. So it's designed specifically to support these types of things. And then so you may have seen things like the Indigenous pins, the orange shirt Indigenous pins. Have you seen those, Doug?
Yep, I have. Yep.
That's actually the one that resonates with me deepest. So that would be another, or the community shop at Sears that's had a lot of success with the homeless and vulnerable population. I don't know if you saw last year the vaccine lives on StreamYard with the local doctors.
Yep.
So they're all very different, but what they are about is bringing the humanness to it. So the vaccine, it wasn't a pro-vaccine campaign. It was about how to have healthy conversations and to treat each other as equals, no matter what our vaccine stance is. Right?
Extremely important. That's still today a very important conversation to have. It goes right back to the whole, the same thing, that we're not that different. We're more alike than we are different. Yes, I completely agree with that. So, but you are a great ambassador of ideas and conversations and fearless warrior of knocking down barriers and having brave conversations. So if it wasn't for that, a lot of this would not have happened. So big kudos to you, my friend. So I appreciate that. It does take a village, and you came from a small village, so it's phenomenal to see this has been picked up and it's been replicated and duplicated in other areas. But the essence of it really happened right here in our own community, and it's been phenomenal to see. So,
well, you'll Doug, you'll go to Montreal and you'll have geniuses on a Zoom call, and they'll be talking about how Shrewsbury did it. Like you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
They're like studying what Chatham-Kent did as like an icon of how to reach people.
Exactly, and that's what it is. And the fact that you've reached out to not only you've reached out in every sector. So from receptacle or receiving to sorting to who it needs to go to and to who gets it there. So all along the way, it's been phenomenal. The fact that you've taken the approach of, it's not just, this isn't your baby, it's our baby, it's everyone's baby. And I think when you have ownership in something as big as this, I think you stand a little taller. I think you stand a little prouder. And at the end of the day, when it's done and that arena or barn is swept up from all the dust and debris left behind and it's clean and you're done and the last can has been handed out, you feel a little more worthy, a little more appreciated, a little more, dare I say, important, because you've helped others. And it's that giving. It's the giving and the ability to give that I think makes us a slightly better person. So
I couldn't agree more, man. That's totally what it's all about. The power of being part of something that's bigger than you. Like,
yeah.
And that's the fact of the matter is, it doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to the purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it? And then this reminds us of what it feels like to be that. And we all have those temptations of the ego and the thing that we want to be ours, right? And then we feel this, and you actually you hit the nail on the head. You're like, oh, I can actually stand taller this way when I'm standing with everybody.
Yeah.
With and I don't feel less than, I feel more than.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels infinite. Like that's my favorite thing, Doug, is like go around to anybody and be like, we're able to do this as a community. We're able to break the world record for a food drive when we all come together and every contribution mattered equally, all that stuff that you're talking about. And then 6 months later, we do it the same thing for a toy drive. And what could we accomplish in the future when everybody just gives their as equals? Doug, what do you think we can accomplish in the future?
We get so much, because I don't think you went into this thinking, well, let's make a food drive and win a world record. You didn't think that, did you? You thought
nobody did. I don't think anybody did. Yeah.
No, it's the after effect of what you do. So that's just icing on the cake. So
totally.
Which, by the way, cake you cannot donate unless it's still in the box, non-perishable products only. Don't be dropping off a cake on a cake, unless if it is, it better be on a cake stand, a nice one.
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
and frosted really nicely. So
yeah, specifically for Doug. That's what you could
do. So phenomenal work, my friend. I'm so happy to have you on as my very first person that does good. I'm fighting the urge to say goody two shoes because I do like shoes.
That sounds about right.
Stupid. I'm so stupid. But thank you very much for what you do. Any last minute or last thoughts? Don't forget to volunteer. Reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out, find a captain, find someone to help. Be a captain, be a helper. Many hands make light work. Keep that in mind, and we all do this together. And then the gift is coming up. It is definitely a Christmas to behold. Now, do you have your Christmas gift purchases done in advance of all this? Because you're doing nothing from November 19th till Christmas. I'm assuming you have your gifts purchased and wrapped and maybe like hidden or under a tree.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to me, buddy.
Oh yeah. Well, probably when I'm out gift shopping for others on the 24th is when I'll be.
You can't be doing that on the 24th.
Oh, buddy, I'm sure some family members are going to comment right now. Bring them up.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Of how bad I am. I'm a bad procrastinator.
If anyone wants to be Brent's personal Christmas shopper, reach out to him because you can probably use the help. So.
Oh yeah, very. We're going to add that to the website now. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Here's another one.
Anybody want to reach out?
Yeah. So, thank you so much. Another comment. These comments are rolling in. Everyone, it's a big love fest for you. But I realize you're just the sort of ambassador, the face of the gift, and there's a lot of people behind you that help to make this all happen. So hang on while I bid everyone adieu real quick, and thank you for coming to the very first episode of season 6, where we're talking about all those that are doing good. 8 weeks of this, so people that I feel somewhat endeared, that are doing great things in my community. And if you have some thoughts of who you think should be included, hit me up, find me on through the social media, and we'll talk. But until then, thank you for coming to Engagement. We really appreciate talking to you. We'll talk to you soon.